Hey Frog fans, welcome to Talking Frogs, the flagship podcast for the Frogs Today Network. I'm your host, Jamie Plunkett, and I hope that you'll join me on this journey as we talk with coaches and players, alumni, and most importantly you, the TCU fan. Let's be honest, without you, TCU wouldn't be the university that it is, TCU Athletics wouldn't be the athletics department that it is, none of these programs would be where they are today without you. That's just how athletics works in general. If the fans aren't there, the program doesn't exist. And by the same thought process, if the fans aren't there, then things like Frogs Today don't exist. This podcast doesn't exist. So I want to say thank you for joining me on this journey as we talk about the latest and greatest in TCU athletics all along the way. We're going to do some history. We're going to look at the future. We're going to talk about the present. We're going to cover all our bases here on Talkin' Frogs. And so I hope that you'll ride up alongside me on this journey, that you'll make sure you're following Frogs Today on Twitter and on Facebook, you're checking out the website, and that you've got us subscribed to on YouTube so that you can catch every single episode of this podcast no matter where you are. Again, I'm truly thankful for you, each and every one of you that has already given this a shot, that's given Frogs Today a shot, that's been hanging out with me for the last 10 years as we've talked about TCU athletics. Today on the first episode of Talking Frogs, I sit down with Alex Robinson to talk about this year's iteration of TCU basketball. We all know Alex. We all love Alex. He was a great point guard for TCU, still the all-time assists leader for the Horned Frogs. And he gives us his insight from his expert position on what makes this TCU basketball team different. He gives us incredible insight on Jamie Dixon and on how fans can impact a program as it's trying to grow. So I hope you'll give this conversation a listen as we all get ready to cheer on the Frogs in the NCAA Tournament, where they're going to be playing in the first round in San Diego as the 9 seed against Seton Hall, with a chance to play Arizona in the second round. Again, none of this exists without you, so I'm thankful that you're on this journey with me. Let's go and listen to what Alex has to say. Alex Robinson. Alex, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to have a conversation about the Frogs.
Thanks, man. Any day to talk about TCU basketball.
And it's a great day to talk about TCU basketball, right? We just watched the selection show on CBS, and the Horned Frogs are back in the NCAA tournament, dancing as the 9 seed in San Diego, facing off in the first round against Seton Hall. Alex, you've been watching a lot of the Frogs this year. You've seen them battle all the way through the Big 12 slate and get to the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament. When you watch this basketball team play, what are your kind of first impressions of this team?
Well, I've seen these guys since the summertime. They play against our TBT team that we developed, and one of the things that I first recognized was just like their energy. They're all big and strong, and all that's cool, but energy is very important. I think that's what kind of helped them get through this season as well.
When you think about the team that Jamie Dixon constructed this year, they've got 8 new faces that transferred in from a variety of different places. When you saw them in August versus where they are now, what can you tell about the culture that these kids have built this season?
Man, these guys, you can tell they're definitely close and they're a family over there. They play for each other. And you can just see that throughout the season, because it hasn't been high the whole season. We've had lows. And we've had some big losses. We've had some close losses. But these guys, they show a lot of grit. And I think that's probably the biggest difference I've seen from when I first saw them and now, which, that's just, it's just being a part of a team. For the guys first come together, people are trying to figure it out. But, you could definitely tell that these guys are one unit and they're moving together. So I'm excited, man.
I think every Frog fan should be excited, right? Like this is a big deal. This is something that, the university hired Jamie Dixon to do, was to get teams to start to play at this level. Obviously, you were a part of Dixon's early years. What can you tell me about Coach Dixon and the culture that he's building around TCU basketball?
Yeah, I honestly think we're headed in the right direction. I think we had success so fast that people thought, it was just going to build from there. You don't understand that it's a progress to do this. It's a process to do this, and I think Jamie has been on the right path since he's got here. Just him. The difference between my first year and to my last year, you can definitely see the difference. Even though we We went to the tournament my junior year. Arguably should have went my senior year, but you can just tell just the different culture that we had within the locker room. It changed from year one to year three. So, like I said, it's not always going to be high. It's not always going to be low. There's not like 12 games like you have in other sports. And anything can happen in basketball. So, but I really think our program is heading in the right direction under Jamie.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. And it's been really interesting to see kind of the dialogue around Coach Dixon and around the program, because you guys had such early success winning the NIT in his first year and then going to the tournament. And I agree. I think that 2018-19 team should have probably made the tournament as well, just based on how they played in the Big 12 that year. But it's been really interesting to see so many people critiquing Dixon for not making the tournament last year during COVID, for some of the struggles through the Big 12 schedule this year. Do you feel like the attention that's being paid to TCU basketball now, even from a criticism standpoint, is more than maybe it was when you were on campus or when Coach Johnson was still around?
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of that plays into just the respect level we have as a program. I think that kind of, and people think, oh, Coach Dixon is here. We're supposed to get this guy. We're supposed to play a certain way. But, at the end of the day, these are high school kids, and a lot more plays into it than just Jamie Dixon coaching basketball, even though that's a huge thing, So, but yeah, to be honest with you, I think, like I said, I think TCU's headed in the right direction. And step two was getting the respect. Because, and that's just not from, from a recruiting standpoint. That's from, just the basketball world itself, getting that extra recognition and getting that publicity that we probably lacked back in the day, that might have nodded somebody else in over us, But one of the biggest things I talked about with while I was having some issues with this year was fan support, and just telling these guys, like, look, man, like, we might not win every game, but as long as our fans show up, we have a great opportunity to keep building this program up. And fans have just as big a responsibility, if not bigger, than our coaching staff and players on keeping this program where it's at and keep building it up.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because TCU set multiple attendance records this year in Big 12 play. They set, I think 4 or 5 games in a row, they set new records for number of students in attendance. When I was an undergrad at TCU, when we were still in the Mountain West playing Kawhi Leonard at San Diego State, that kind of thing, it was like me and maybe 15 other people in the stands. And to see it where it is now, that's got to be a really cool feeling, especially for you, since you helped build the program into what it is today.
Interesting fact, I was one of those 15 guys that was watching Kawhi Leonard. I remember going to those games, but yeah, no, I like I said, it takes time to build a program, especially a program when you're surrounded by, other huge universities that already have, that already have the accolades and stuff that we might not have, So I think it was, the TCU job wasn't an easy job coming in, but I think Jamie has done a great job, magnificent job of where the program's at now and where it will be in the future.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. When you look at this year's iteration of TCU basketball, what is this team capable of as far as making an NCAA tournament run?
I think they have a ton of potential. It honestly just depends on, like, it's basketball. Anything can happen any day. Anybody can make shots on any day. But if you look at our makeup of our team, I really feel like, we're really defensive oriented. So that helps us a lot. So I think, if we come in and we have high intensity, we bring energy leading up to the tournament, because the tournament doesn't start on tournament day or the night before. Which like I said, I think these guys are pretty locked in. They seem pretty close knit. I think if they play for each other and they take recovery serious, I think that's one of the biggest things we probably lacked as a team total, was how serious we took recovery. because these games are kind of back to back to back, and you don't really realize, as a kid, you're used to playing 3-4 games in a tournament and feeling great, and that's not far off from a college student, in high school and middle school. So taking recovery is going to be huge, make sure everybody's as fresh as they can be each and every game. That'd be huge for the offense and defensive end. I can't tell you how much better I felt shooting the basketball when my legs were fresh and when they were, tired. So, but I really do like our chances in this year's tournament, just because, like I said, our energy is unmatched. We have probably our centerpiece, which is crazy to me. Most teams' center is not the energy guy. He's usually got to get those guys going, like, come on, run down the court, come on. But our guy is our center, which is huge for us, and he doesn't shy away from anybody. He's not scared of anything. So Eddie's big time in that aspect for sure.
You should have seen him earlier today. There was some popcorn out when all of the folks were here watching the selection show with the team. And as a couple guys were in here in the media room doing interviews, Eddie was standing right through that window, just eating popcorn, watching his teammates do all of the interviews, kind of dancing around. And you're absolutely right. And the guys have said it time and time again, that they get their energy from Eddie. How important is it just to have at least one energy source like that can motivate the rest of the team?
It's huge. And like I said, coming from the center position, a guy who gets a lot of rebounds, does a lot of dirty things on the floor. It's like a dream come true for it to be your center, because it's hard to get those big guys going sometimes. So we're in a great spot, and it feels like, it does look like everybody feeds off of him in a way, and but it's not just him. I think every guy has had their moments, and I think that like you say, it's a big family over there. And it seems like it's not, like I said, it seems like it's not just Eddie. You see Mike Miles get into it a little bit. So I'm really excited, and I like our chances going into the tournament.
You mentioned Mike. He's had 2 really good seasons at point guard. Obviously, your point guard too. When you look at Mike Miles, what makes his game so special?
I think the thing is about Mike is such a great scorer from all 3 levels, and it's not undervalued, but he's also a great playmaker, and I think that's what kind of makes him hard to guard, and he lives for this. Basketball is Mike's life. I've known Mike's family since, probably before Mike could dribble basketball. So, this is what they do. And I don't think Mike is going to shy away from a big moment. This is a tournament. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And I don't mean to add any extra pressure or anything, but I don't think he sees it like that. This is what he came to TCU for. So, like I said, man, you put those 2 in a combo, man, and I'm excited, man. I really think Mike is going to show up and do great.
You mentioned earlier too that this team is built on defense, and that can really carry a team a long way. When you look at defenders like Micah Peavy and Emmanuel Miller and Chuck O'Bannon, and just kind of the length and the physicality that this team has, is that something that you feel is maybe different than in years past for TCU basketball?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I think a lot of our guys are a lot more filled out than we used to be, for sure. We had a lot of skinny guys, a lot of out of shape guys when I first came, but these guys, they look really locked in on and off the court. You can tell they take the weight room very serious. And we're not just strong, we're long and we're athletic. And I think I made a quote earlier before the season started. This is probably the most athletic team we've had from top to bottom. So that also works in our favor. So a great defensive team that's athletic and plays for each other is a scary team, because anything can happen. So, and I, like I said, our guys are you don't know who's going to go off any given night. We got guys that just play hard, and when you play hard, good things happen.
When you play hard, good things happen. That's, I think, the message that this team can carry forward with them. Obviously, playing in the Big 12, the consensus toughest conference in the country. I don't think it's really a question at this point. Personally, just haven't watched as much Big 12 as I have. Do you feel like a conference schedule like that against teams like Baylor and Tech and Texas and Kansas and even Iowa State and Oklahoma, like you can go down the whole list,
How much does that prepare a team for what they're going to face in a tournament?
I think it prepares you a lot because I feel like not every team is built the same in the Big 12. I feel like sometimes you run into situations in conferences where you get a particular style of basketball and, you just who's the best at that particular style of basketball. But when I watch the Big 12 every team is made differently and they go through different guys and we have tremendous coaches in the Big 12. So, it's not like you're running up against, some Joe Blows over here. You have the top of the line scouting reports, top of the line players. There's probably an NBA player on every single team in the Big 12. So you're definitely more than prepared going into the tournament and going into the NCAA tournament. So I think our guys should feel very confident, coming into Selection Sunday and seeing who they're facing. But the most important thing is the job isn't done. Like, the season isn't over. And whatever they were doing to get to this point, it needs to be double that. If you're in there getting up shots, you need to get up more shots now. You make sure everything is on point and just give yourself the best chance. I understand that every time we go to the tournament, it feels like we have a lack of experience because we're not, we haven't been very consistent. But from somebody who's been there, I think, and I wish we would have went further, but from somebody that's been there, I'd say make sure they're prepared, they're mentally prepared and physically prepared. Like I said, recovery and also making sure they take that next step.
Are you going to make it out to San Diego this weekend for the games?
If I can, I definitely will.
Awesome, nice.
One more thing, I think I missed one of your questions. Thinking about the fans.
Oh yeah.
I want to make sure I give my 2 cents about this. I think our fans this year were great. And people have to understand how basketball works. And I think that the modern day fans are getting we have a little bit more understanding, but we're not going to win every game. But fans in basketball play a huge part in home victories and things like that. So the more we can sell out the stadium, the more we can sell out the stadiums, the more opinions people can have about our team and how we're playing and all that kind of stuff. But just being there, I mean, it makes a world of difference for recruits, for the players, all of that. So, if we want to continue to build our program up, like I said, it's not just on Dixon or on the players, it's on the fans as well. We have to be there every single game and show up and show out. We have to do our part. We have to scream, yell, all of that. Because if we make it look fun, DFW is filled with hoopers. And we like to, I argue with guys all the time. I just got done arguing with possibly our second round opponent in Arizona's Gabe York. I was like, man, listen, man, we're ready for you guys. But one major difference we talked about was just the fan base. Every single day when you go there as a recruit, it's crazy. It's loud all the time, and that just makes a world of difference for a high school kid. That's what kids dream of. So when fans come, they can't think about the now. They got to think about the future of this program. You can't stay at home and complain and then wonder why we don't get any better.
Yeah, Twitter's easy to access from pretty much anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like saying, man, I wish I could shoot the basketball better, but you never go to the gym and shoot the basketball. So
right.
It's the same thing. You want your program to be built. Win or lose, if you show up, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, and like you said, we see that across the country too. Obviously, you mentioned Arizona. Texas Tech has one of the best atmospheres probably in college basketball at this point. Kansas is a tradition. You see Iowa State fans and West Virginia fans showing up regardless of how good their programs are year after year. I think TCU's getting there, though. I mean, we've seen such tremendous progress this year, especially from the students. That they bought in hard from the very beginning and showed up the entire way. It was really cool to see that. It made a huge difference. It was really cool to see them on the court, after beating Tech, after beating Kansas. And, I think that kind of foundation is just so important. I totally agree with you.
For sure. And those schools you just named are in the middle of nowhere. Just imagine if we pack our stadium out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we have hoopers going everywhere. We have guys going to Kentucky, guys going to Kansas, guys going all these huge universities, let's try to keep those guys here. But it's not just on Dixon. When those guys show up to the game, they have to feel like, wow, this is the atmosphere I want to play in.
Yeah.
So we need to do our part and make sure we get these recruits here too.
Mm-hmm. And, from that perspective too, obviously you're a local guy and you ended up at TCU transferring in. Mike's from Lancaster. You got Micah from Duncanville. You've got Jacoby Coles, who's from the area as well. How big of an impact is that on recruiting as well, to have kids looking at TCU's program and seeing local guys already in the program having success?
I think it's huge for us because, we have a rivalry school in Dallas. And so, and then, like I said, there's so many basketball players coming out of DFW in this era that knowing that you don't have to go anywhere and it looks exciting to play there also, it's huge for us. Mike's success has been huge. Another thing that I don't think people know is Eddie's been around. Eddie's been around all summer. He's been in all the tournaments, not necessarily tournaments, just playing games and open gyms and things like that. So, TCU's brand is building, and that's big for us because there's a lot of talent in this area, and we need to keep it here.
To use a former football coach's analogy, we got to build a fence around the Metroplex, right? Keep everybody local.
Exactly, we do, but it's not on Dixon, and it's not all on Dixon. Dixon does a great job of recruiting, but like I say, the next step is making sure we do our part, as fans. Because when I was in high school, man, when I went places, you could just see the difference. You can feel the difference of love,
Mm-hmm.
And I just so happened to go to A&M game when they had the whole student section, filled out, and that stadium fits like 15,000 people. And I was like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah.
And they were really bad back then. They were really bad. So, like I said, win or lose, it doesn't matter. We have to show up and make the environment look exciting. So
Awesome. Yeah, I fully agree. I got nothing else to add. Hoping to see you out in San Diego.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get there. So we'll if we're both out there, let's meet up.
For sure.
So, but Alex, man, thanks again so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
If you stuck around to this point, I just want to say thank you one more time. Like I said at the top of the show, this wouldn't be a thing if you weren't around to appreciate it and to participate in it. So thanks for pulling up alongside me on this journey. We've got a really, really cool road ahead of us. And so I hope that you'll continue to stick around and come back to Frogs Today and to Talking Frogs. If you want, you can go follow Frogs Today on Twitter at Frogs Today. You can follow me at Frog Preacher. Frogs Today is also on Instagram and on Facebook. And of course, frogstoday.com, our new website where me and Coach Melissa and Jeff Wilson are writing about TCU athletics as it comes and goes. Thank you again for giving this episode a listen. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll continue to be around. I'm your host, Jamie Plunkett, and I'll talk to you next time. Go Frogs.